Hello, this is Aysha Albalooshi. We are group 3. Today our group will present about perception bias and how it impacts effective leadership decision for organization behavior with instructor Osama Najm. Perception bias is the systematic error in interpreting information by leaders, causing them to make errors in their decisions in rapidly changing and diversified business and organizations. Understanding bias is important in helping leaders achieve fairness. Fairness is also associated with performance. This presentation discusses how perception bias influences leadership, especially in Arab and global context. How we judge others. Ben thinks Anna is unreliable. She can't even attend a meeting on time. Anna thinks Ben is incompetent. He can't finish his project on time. We attribute a person's behavior to their character without taking into account the limitations and constraints with which the person may be operating. All leaders should be able to make close to fair, rational, and inclusive decisions. The challenge is that there are limitations from perception bias that will often suffer in ways that appear honest and intentional but that are truly not. This presentation will look at what perception bias is, why it affects leaders and leadership, and how it either directly or indirectly can influence decision making in recruitment, hiring, interpersonal team dynamics, or strategic decision making. We will provide examples from both Arab and non-Arab organizations, identify real-world consequences of leaders and leadership, and access the means used to reduce bias. The key aim are to generate awareness, facilities critical thought and debate, and examine alternative approaches from leaders to enhance their decision-making perspectives. Now my colleague will continue.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ismail Ahli, and I will be discussing what is perception bias. Perceptual bias is a mental flow that enables people to see what they expect, not what is true. Confirmation bias encourages leaders to pay attention to information that supports their view, while gender bias can be broadly demanding regarding how women in authority are perceived. The halo effect allows people to assume that if a person has excelled in one characteristic, they must excel in others. While mental shortcuts may save time, psychological biases such as these in leadership impede objective evaluations, hamper accurate decision making, and restrict diversity in organizations. Leadership decisions are strongly correlated with how people see other people. And when those perceptions are influenced by bias, the decision can be difficult. For example, it has been shown that implicit gender bias is the health sector in Saudi Arabia concluded that women in leadership positions will be assessed in less favorable terms, even if their performance is equal or exceeds the male counterparts. Morale goes down with time; there is less satisfaction in the job, plus fewer opportunities are presented for career development. The promotion or hiring process itself, when subjected to bias, may end in a group of like-minded people forming the leadership, who will essentially be the opposite of originality.
Hello, how are you? My name is Abdullah. Today I will explain my topic is about Arab world example. Discrimination in leadership in Arab nation is a function of socio-cultural value inherent within the environment and social hierarchy. As evident in Saudi healthcare, women face, implement, and explement discrimination that a later perceptions of women as a leader. Education institution and the public sector in Saudi healthcare have traditional structure where men hold position of authority by default. This process structurally limits diversity and innovation in leadership. Progress ability to be in its early stage with a new ethical leadership strategy emerging in Saudi that promotes fairness and transparency. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Noor Saeed Almarri. Today I will talk about global practice. Organizations are now more aware of influence of base in leadership discussion and therefore pushing of diversity, equity and inclusion (DEI) and initiatives to remedy it. This include countries bias with regular awareness training, setting up evaluation system and focusing on inclusivity within leadership program. For example, a center and Google use a comprehensive DEI model in their recruitment and assessment of leadership. When these organizations conduct training sessions, they teach leaders how to identify cognitive biases that can occur, such as halo effect or assumptions about gender. In doing so, organizations promote not only inclusiveness but also advanced strategies outcomes in general by opening up opportunities for different ideas and leadership systems.
Hi, my name is Ismail Abdulrahman. I would like to talk about impact on employees. Perception bias that hits the leaders will cascade through all strata of an organization when such employees are hindered by unfair assessment of gender, ethnicity, disability, or even some acute minor physical characteristics. They tend to get demoralized and feel discouraged. This will discourage engagement, motivation, and productivity. For example, in a team that has diversity, bias can cause some individuals to receive inequitable recognition and less favorable future opportunities due to an inherent bias. On the other hand, good or fair practices such as feedback loops and established evaluation criteria can increase your levels of satisfaction at work and improve trust in your leadership and team relationship. Thank you.
Slide 8. Good and bad policies. Around the globe, organizations are witnessing both effective and ineffective policies around bias management, exclusively in hiring. On the positive side, Google provides an example of effective management with data-driven hiring and structured performance reviews that aim to minimize the subjectivity in leadership in decision-making. This results in a more equitable workplace environment for diverse talent. On the negative side, some organizations in particular, specifically organizations without an active DEI framework, continue to struggle with bias in which some instances, it produces inequitable hiring and, promotions internally. In the Arab world, work and mutual context, for example, shows that they sometimes work within hierarchical cultures disguised by the lack of transparency. So all in all, the glass roof or the glass ceiling concept is generated, within these policies itself.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Essa Bughomah and today I'll be discussing on how to address bias in organizational leadership. Combating bias in leadership requires explicit instructive action. Consistent training enables leaders to recognize perception biases or attitudes that direct decisions, while training to take action against them will allow those leaders to react more objectively. It may be useful to implement a feedback mechanism such as 360-degree reviews to identify the reception of a decision and how much bias is influencing that particular decision. It is important to remember that inclusive leadership implies not only listening to voices, but also ensuring the voices of all team members are included in discussions. Inclusive leadership allows for the examining of assumptions, therefore ensuring the decision-making services the whole of the team. As shown in the slide, there are examples on how to battle bias or combating it, such as consistent bias training equips leaders to amend flawed perceptions, feedback systems build accountability in decision making, practices of inclusive leadership build trust and lower bias in managing a team, by valuing multiple perspectives. Thank you. And in conclusion, perception bias continues to present significant challenges for leaders in Arab and global organizations. It impacts hiring, promotions, evaluations, and employee morale. Certain companies have been very successful in implementing initiatives to mitigate bias, though many companies are still going on because they are still working off of antiquated or unclear policies. The culture of an organization also affects how bias is perceived and addressed, especially in organizations with hierarchy. On the bright side, leadership training, transparent systems, and creating a sense of inclusion by allowing all voices to be represented can lead to a change.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy.